I just wanted to show people how I think we can get a large volume of practice or a large volume of questions covered in a much shorter space of time compared to if we were to answer those questions. So obviously, if it's a 5 marker, we're probably going to be spending 5 minutes answering that question, which is a lot of time. I think we can basically get the same out of the questions by just reading them and writing really brief notes about what we think is going to be in the mark scheme. Then what we're doing is we're exposing ourselves to questions, looking at how they're writing the questions, how they're wording the questions, what information they're giving us about the questions, and we're also looking at what's in the mark scheme of that question. So we're able to analyse questions, analyse mark schemes in a much shorter space of time. So the way I think we should do it is we go to maths, physics and maths tutor, but we ignore this section, A-levels from 2015. The amount of resources we have for the 2015 A-levels is pretty limited. And if you were to click on this and go into these topics, you'll see these resources, they're good, but they're not AQA. They're just a generic resource that he's got his hands on and put on his website. They're still good, but at this stage in the year, in February, we really need to be looking at the actual AQA questions. Even though they are the old spec, the same examiners are writing these questions. So that's why I think we should focus on this. This area here on the website. We then go to Unit 4, and I'll now show you how I think we should approach some questions. Okay. So here we've got a question about respiration. As it says here, aerobic respiration of woodlouse in this apparatus. It says the student closed the tap. After 30 minutes, the drop of colour liquid had moved to the left. Explain why the drop of colour liquid moved to the left. Okay, as I've already said, we know it's about aerobic respiration. So what's happening in aerobic respiration? We're bringing in oxygen into us as organisms, or the woodlouse is bringing it into it as an organism, and it's going to use up that oxygen in respiration. We also produce carbon dioxide as a result of that reaction. Respiration is a reaction at the end of the day. It's a biological process, and it's going to be producing carbon dioxide. As it says here, the carbon dioxide is going to be absorbed by this potassium hydroxide. So straight away, there's 2 marks already. Let's open up a new document. Hold on. New. Okay, so get this down. Question 6, 3 marks. Oh, that's annoying. 3 marks. We get our first point down. O2 used in respiration by woodlouse. CO2 produced, absorbed by potassium hydroxide. And then the final thing, we need the third point. We need to talk about why this is actually moving the coloured liquid. Now, it's actually a result of changes in pressure within this test tube. So remember, just like or similar to our example with ventilation of the lungs, we change the volume of something and we're going to change the pressure within a certain container, a certain environment. So that would be our third point. Changes in pressure cause liquid to move. Okay, that took what? Maybe a minute, minute and a half. Then we're going to compare our answer to the mark scheme. And there we go. Oxygen taken up, used by Woodlouse. Carbon dioxide is absorbed by solution of potassium hydroxide. Decrease or a change in pressure draws that bubble or that coloured liquid. It's going to draw that into the test tube. Okay. Another question, which I think is a good example, is another example of how we can basically answer the question, but in a much shorter space of time and get through more questions. Another one is this one, 8C, 5 marks. Question 8C, 5 marks. Okay, as we can see, changes in ecosystems can lead to speciation. In Southern California, 10,000 years ago, a number of interconnecting lakes contained a single species of pupfish. Increasing temperatures caused evaporation and the formation of separate, smaller lakes and streams. This led to the formation of a number of different species of pupfish. Explain how these different species evolved. So straight away, they've already told us this is speciation. Now, how does speciation occur? We have isolation of individuals. Remember, this can be either individuals. This can either be through reproductive isolation, so changes in mating call, for example, or they can be geographical. In this example, it's geographical. Another word for that, remember, is allopatric speciation. So there's a point straight away. As we isolate individuals, they're going to be exposed, they're going to be in different environments. Can't spell today. Different environments. These different environments have different selection pressures. Then we have different selective advantages. Advantages within a population. Some individuals adapted, others aren't. Adapted individuals survive, reproduce, and pass on their advantageous alleles. Certain allele frequencies increase and decrease over time, or we can say over many generations. Okay, we then compare the answer to what they're asking here. What was it? 8C. There we go. Geographical isolation, separate gene pools, no interbreeding. We missed that point. We also missed this point. But what I'm trying to show is often there's going to be various marking points. And we can still get 5 out of 5 even if we miss a few points. We don't have to hit every marking point with a lot of questions. Different environmental conditions or selection pressures, we got that one. Selection for different advantageous features. Differential reproductive success, as in we got survive and reproduce. We also mentioned allele frequency, and we also said occurs over many generations, I think we'd get that point as well. So we get full marks. Yeah, we missed these 2 points and we got the rest. 5 out of 5. That's how I recommend we get through a lot of questions in a much shorter space of time. You could even reduce this down. You could even just put allopatric, selection pressures, selective advantages, adapted, survive, reproduce, pass on advantageous allele frequencies. They could be your notes that you're using to compare to the mark scheme. It's not actually about, at this stage in February, it's not actually about hitting all those marking points. It's more about exposing ourselves to lots of questions, and then analysing a lot of mark schemes. And then we can figure out how they're wording the questions, what they're actually asking, and which part of the specification they're asking about. And yeah, that's going to put us in a much better position when it comes to answering the new specification questions. Okay.